It's been a wild ride these 43 years I have lived on planet Earth. Yeah, I just turned 43 years old. Oh my gosh.
Happy birthday!
To celebrate, I wanted to answer your burning questions about everything, about groceries, about budgets, about splurging on things or not splurging on things. What lessons have I learned in my 43 years of life? If I could give you one piece of advice, what would it be? What's the worst piece of advice I've ever gotten, my friends? Sit back, relax, grab a beverage. Let's hang out for a bit. Okay, first question is, when does Haley come home? My daughter Haley is 20 years old, and I don't know that she's ever gonna come home in the traditional sense. You know, once they graduate high school and they move out and they start doing their back and forth situation, like who's to say? Like she'll come home for a few weeks in transition and then leave again. Will she ever come back to stay? Most likely not. And right now I have another senior in high school who will do the same. Come June, it's very possible he moves out to work a summer job, and then he's gonna do this transition back and forth and back and forth. So I don't know that it will ever be the same that it always was. And for those of you that know Haley and have seen her on the channel and you love her as much as I do, I know that's really sad because it's sad for me, but she's off being a grown-up and doing great things. So it's hard to be too sad about it. But you know, when she is around, maybe we'll get a little pic, you know, and I'll share it with you guys. But the kids, they gotta grow up and leave the nest at some point, which means, unfortunately, you're stuck with just me. What would your food budget be in today's economy with a family of 6? I mean, technically, I guess there's 5 at my house. But I have barely changed anything. It depends heavily on how you eat, whether you have allergies or special dietary needs, and what area you live. I would say as a baseline, I would go $150 per person per month as a general rule. So if you had 6 people in your family, so I would say baseline $900 a month for 6 people. If you're really good at shopping, like I am, and you cook a lot from scratch, and you don't really have any allergies or dietary restrictions, you could bring it significantly lower. I think you could do 500. But also, if you're on the other side and you want to eat a certain way or you can't eat certain things, it's going to go up from there. I'd say baseline 900 is probably a good starting point. Raising middle schoolers, LOL. Yeah, it's a wild ride. There wasn't a specific question in there. What could I say about middle schoolers? What am I gonna say about all teenagers? This is what teenagers need from you, is they need you to care about what's important to them. As long as you express interest in the things that matter to them, pretty good, you're pretty solid. And it's also a great time to remind them of the benefits of personal hygiene, like showering regularly, the deodorant thing, you know what I'm saying? Washing their socks. The best area to ride for a beginner mountain bike rider. So I like to use the app Trail Forks. It shows all the mountain biking trails in the area and then what they are rated in color. So a green mountain bike trail is gonna be your easiest mountain bike trail. So if you're a total beginner, only ride greens. Start with greens, ride greens over and over, watch some YouTube videos, practice some skills until you can move up to blues. And for the love of all that is holy, never ride a black if you are a beginner. I'd love to hear about budgeting with an uncertain income, like an adjunct professor. So you could also call this a peaks and valleys fund. So what you can do is you can take your average over the course of a year and then use that per month, or you can save up a dollar amount per month to make up for the months that you don't have it. If you have an income like that, I don't like to rely on that income as the sole income. That would be like the bonus income. But if you are the sole provider and you don't work every month, we need to find a job for the months that you don't work. Do you ever splurge for yourself? Absolutely. I'll tell you, it's not something I did when we were in our debt-free journey, like when we were snowballing everything and paying off debt. We really didn't do that. But it only took us 18 months to pay off all the debt. And then once that was gone, we did allow small monthly splurges in our budget to keep our sanity. The point of being tight and paying off debt is not to be tight and pay off debt the rest of your life. The goal is to pay it off and then be done. Move on to the next thing. Save for your emergency fund. Check the box, move on to the next thing. Up your retirement, move on to the next thing. It's definitely not to scrimp and save and scrimp and save forever. Like once your debt's paid off, which should take less than 2 years, unless it's your house, add some splurges. So one of my favorite things to do is go to concerts and plays and things like that. Last month, we were able to go see the band Marianas Trench for the first time. I found them recently. I didn't even realize they were a really big deal in Canada, a Canadian band. I'm so sad they're not more popular in the United States, but they came locally and we went to go see them and it was amazing. A lot of the traditional ticket buying websites, they limit you to 4 tickets. Did you know that? 4. I've got 6 or 7 people. So I like to use SeatGeek to buy my tickets instead because they allow me to buy the quantity that I need. And also, did you know I have a promo code for them? Because they are sponsoring today's video. So if you want to go check out a concert, a live performance, you can use my code FFM10 to save 10% off of your ticket purchase on SeatGeek. You don't have to be a new customer, you can be an existing customer. And I'm telling you, if Mariana Trench is touring in your area, you have to go see them live. They're amazing. I've been able to take my family to a lot of cool concerts. We took my 2 oldest to see Newfound Glory 2 years ago. That was amazing. Took my son to see George Strait. We just got tickets to Weird Al. Did you know Weird Al is touring in 2025? We got tickets to take my whole family. I'm so excited. And also, what's your favorite Weird Al song? Did you know that with over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app right now? Did you also know that SeatGeek has over 70,000 events, including but not limited to concerts, sports, festivals, and more? You can go to a baseball game, a football game, and if you want to hit up a concert, there's a bunch of artists touring right now, like Sabrina Carpenter, Post Malone, and Billie Eilish. So what SeatGeek does is they take all of the tickets across the interwebs and put them all in one place, and then they rank them from 1 to 10 using colors. Green means a good ticket, red means not so good of a ticket. You can sort tickets however way you want. You can sort by best price, which is fun, a best seats, which is awesome, or by the best score. Huge thanks to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video. Use that code FFM to get 10% off of your ticket prices, or you can click the first link in the doobly-doo below. Oh, this one's so interesting. How much cash do you need on hand for when crap hits the fan? I have no idea. I've never lived in that kind of a scenario. I suspect cash isn't gonna do you any good at all. I suspect people are going to trade actual goods or services and not money. Like, think literally everything has collapsed. I would say food, coffee, alcohol, medical supplies. I could see those being very popular, not necessarily cash. So I actually don't have a great answer for that. Are you still doing your podcast? Yes, actually I'm filming new episodes right now. I had to take a major break during the summer and during mountain biking season. My life is just very involved with my teenagers and coaching mountain biking that something had to give, unfortunately. The podcast seemed like the easiest thing to let go of and take a break. I'm glad you enjoy it and that you want it to come back. It is coming back in December, filming all new episodes right now. It's gonna be fun, doing a lot of interviews. And if you have never checked out my podcast before, you can listen to it anywhere you listen to podcasts. Do I still do CrossFit? I do not, actually. I love it. I love CrossFit as a sport. I particularly love the Olympic lifts and the techniques that I learned when I did it. I love the community. It is very expensive as a gym membership and sport. I won't say I'll never go back because I still quite love it. A lot of my friends still go. I'm just focused on other things right now. I think that's okay to, you know, have different phases of your life. More tips when you were in the thick of it. Stay-at-home mom with 2 little kids and husband always at work. So I'll tell you about the time when I had 4 kids at home and my husband was always at work and working on his master's degree. He was literally never home. We had moved to North Carolina. I didn't know anyone and I had 4 kids. The oldest was 7. Dave was literally gone from like 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. because he would work and then stay at work and work on his master's degree work and then come home. And so what I did, it's almost a full-time job to take care of 4 young children and manage a home and cook for them and do the laundry and all of those things. But I filled my time so I didn't go crazy with books, TV, movies, and exercise. And back then we had a DVR and I would DVR, like I watched the entire series of The Mentalist, the entire series of Castle. I would just DVR them when they would come on. And then when the kids were in bed and I had already done my workout and the kitchen was clean, I would sit down and I would watch stuff while I waited for Dave to come home. And I went to the library a lot. I blew through so many books and I would save up all of our fun outings for like the one free Saturday that we had in North Carolina. We went to the beach and I worked out a lot. It's when I trained for my first marathon. It's when I trained for my first Olympic triathlon. I had a treadmill that I borrowed from my neighbor. And then I had a bike trailer that I towed the kids behind on my road bike. And then I had a bike trainer in the garage, and I would watch The Biggest Loser while I biked in the garage while my kids were taking naps. I did at-home weightlifting. I did those insanity videos. Oh my gosh, I worked out all of the time. That's probably not a good answer to your question, but I filled my spare time that I did have with things that I loved, and I just waited for the time to pass, you know, and tried try to enjoy the moments with my kids. And here's the most important thing when you have little kids and it feels like it will never end and you're never going to talk to an adult for the rest of your life. It won't always be like that. I promise. And also, everything looks better after a nap. If you feel crazy and you feel like ragey and you just want to get in your car and drive to Mexico and never come back, because those feelings are real, I have had those, you're probably just overtired and overstimulated, and like everything looks better after some sleep. Hang in there, you're doing great. How do you keep up communication with friends, family, kids as a busy mom? It is freaking hard. What's great about friendships as a busy mom is all the other moms are busy also. So you just kind of know that you're not gonna be great at it. And when you do see each other maybe once a month, because that's all you can squeeze in, you just appreciate the time for what it is. So one of my best friends, Courtney, who has been on the channel before a few years ago. Courtney is one of the most amazing people I know. We are so busy. I'm busy, she's busy, our schedules don't match. She runs a business, she has 5 kids. She's one of those moms that volunteers in her kids' classroom all of the time. Every time I talk to her, she's like, oh, I'm chaperoning, blah, blah, blah. I'm bringing a cake for this party, and blah, blah, blah. She's amazing. And sometimes all we can fit in is a 45-minute walk in the evening from 8 to 8:45 p.m. once a week, and that's it. That's all that fits right now. It's a phase. It'll pass, it'll go away, the kids will grow up and they will move out and it will be different. So you fit it in where you can and realize that there's seasons to everything. Do I live in Coeur d'Alene? It's my favorite spot to visit. We don't live in Coeur d'Alene, but it is an amazing spot to visit if you've never been. My dad, seniortriathlete.com, did sprint triathlons in all 50 states. Do you have similar goals? I don't have goals like that right now. That's amazing. My goals are a little bit different. They're a little smaller with the busy teenagers. I don't have the time to put into things like that. So all of my goals are closer to home. They're a little shorter in nature. Some of my friends are way into the endurance events and I'm like, I just cannot. I need a race that's 2 hours or less. That's what I can handle. And the rest of them are like, let's do a 50-mile or ultra marathon. And I'm like, pass. Rationing. I have been trying to budget, but I always need to go back to the store because we run out. Run out of what? I had a rule a few years ago where I only went to the store once a week. And if we ran out, and stop, period. And if we ran out of something, the kids needed to write it on the list that was on the fridge. Batteries, deodorant. Like if they ran out of deodorant and they didn't tell me, that's on them and they can borrow their brother's. It teaches them to not go crazy on certain, I don't know, if you're doing food, snacks. Like if you eat all the yogurts, well, then we're just not gonna have yogurt until next week. It's really helpful to give yourself a shopping day. Let's say it's Monday. Mondays I shop, and if we run out, oh well, we'll plan better next week. We'll go without for 2 days. The world will go on. I love your outdoor and travel content. How about budgeting for recreation and travel? So the outdoor and travel content is on my second channel, Christine Unfiltered. I haven't posted on there for a while. As I said, super busy. How about budgeting for recreation and travel? So once we paid everything off, including our house, that was one of our main things we wanted to focus on was recreation and travel. So we have a dollar amount that we set aside every single month for travel specifically. That was one of our important buckets we wanted to fill, along with like kids' college, retirement, travel. And without a house payment, that's a whole lot easier to do. Tips on raising 3 boys. You can't have nice things. You really need to teach them to wash their clothes. And self-hygiene. And did I mention they're gonna break everything? They're gonna break everything. Boys have endless amounts of energy. Boys need to be active and play until they collapse from exhaustion. This I know for a fact. Every single one of them. I have watched my boys go from the skate park to swimming to tricks on their bike to the trampoline, tricks on their bike again, to the trampoline park, to open gym at the gymnastic gym in one day. They need to find out what they can handle, what their limits are, social skills when dealing with other people. It's really, really good for them. And then they won't break your couch. How did you pay off your mortgage? There is never enough money. So part of that is a little bit of luck. And what I mean by that is the timing of when we bought our house. We bought this house in 2014, so we bought it 10 years ago. And then the area that we lived in was still recovering from the crash of '08. Homes were not expensive. Also, I lived in a teeny tiny town in the middle of nowhere that no one wanted to live in. I know my house is large, square footage wise, like I'm aware of that, but it's not like I bought the house in 2023 when home prices are complete insanity, right? I didn't pay very much. And then when the interest rates went down to zero, well, they weren't zero, but like 3%, we refinanced at 3%. So essentially it felt like 0%. We put trackers on the wall and gave ourselves prizes for every $10,000 we paid off of the mortgage. And I worked extra jobs, Dave worked extra jobs, and we put every freaking cent on the house. It was a lot of work. We both taught online. I babysat in my home. I donated plasma. This was within the last 10 years because I didn't make any money on YouTube for like the first 4 years I did YouTube. And then by the time my channel did start to do well, our house had basically been paid off at that point. More cooking, pretty please. So it's super interesting. I don't know that I've shared this before on the channel. I've never talked about this before, I don't think. I love to cook. If I have a free day and I have nothing to do, I will tinker in the kitchen all day. I love chopping vegetables. I love tasting things and putting things together and trying new recipes. It's one of my favorite things. I love it. And when I started doing YouTube, my grocery shopping and cooking videos were my most popular. So I started leaning into that. And after doing it for several years, I felt this immense pressure that every time I cooked something, it had to be content, which truly killed my love of cooking. I, on purpose, stepped back from filming all of the cooking so I could rediscover my love for cooking again. So my channel looks a little different than it did in 2019 and 2018 because I needed to reclaim that part of myself that loves cooking. Day in the life videos would be awesome. Vlogs are my least watched videos on this channel. Least. I stopped doing them forever ago because nobody watched them. How did you progress with mountain biking? I'm just starting out. Any tips? I worked really, really hard at skills and fitness. I think mountain biking is the hardest sport I've ever done. I have done a lot of sports. Mountain biking is the hardest. It's hard from a fitness level if you do cross country, and it's hard from a technique perspective if you didn't grow up doing it and you don't ride dirt bikes. I watched a lot of videos. I took a clinic. I practiced a lot working on specific skills, but I feel like I've made good progress in like the last couple years. I've only really been riding for three-ish years. Would it be okay if Ryan, for instance, decided not to go to college and stayed home? No. What I mean by that is I'm fine if my kids need to stay home to save on bills or to save up to do things, but I'm not okay with them staying home and playing video games and not progressing in their life in any way. So if they don't want to do traditional college, I don't care. But they have to have a plan to move their life forward in some way, whether that's gaining skills, getting employment, taking an apprenticeship, that's fine. If they want to stay home while they work on those things, awesome. But are they going to stay home and do nothing? No, absolutely not. I feel like there's this huge learning curve when kids move out and live on their own for their first time. I've watched it with my daughter. Her ability to clean her own apartment and cook for herself and grocery shop for herself and manage her time and her schedule and her bedtime and relationships with roommates, like the growing from that alone has been awesome. What do you and Dave plan on doing once you have an empty nest? We're looking at five more years and all of our kids will have graduated high school. Now they might like be around or whatever, but we won't be doing the day-to-day. 5 years. Wasn't I just 25? Like what happened? Dave and I have talked about this a lot. I don't know as far as his work goes what that looks like because he has said many times he wouldn't be happy just like not working in some capacity because he wants something to do. Maybe it's something else. Maybe he works at a golf pro shop or something because he loves golf. But we have talked about like every day we're gonna do like our big workout, whether that's a hike or going to the gym or a bike ride or something. We're very into that. And we have a lot of friends that are in their 50s and 60s who still do that. And what I love about watching my friend Jane, who is in her mid 50s, they kind of live that life now and I watch what they do with it and their life is full. They're very involved with their kids and grandkids. They go out and have their adventures every day. She's a huge like gardener. She's got chickens. He keeps opening restaurants, like mentoring younger kids who want to do restaurants. They read books, they continue to learn, and like I kind of want it to look like that. Favorite sock brand. So a few weeks ago I would have said Stance socks because I love Stance socks. However, my friend just gifted me a pair of Swiftwick like thick wool winter socks. Game changer. Oh my gosh, they're amazing. And so she was like, I get 40% off, and I'm kind of like, we might need to come to an agreement here because these Swiftwick socks are are it. Healthy on the go breakfast ideas, protein shake, pre-made breakfast burritos, Greek yogurt. Bow. How would you go about saving money to begin investing? 529, Roth IRA, etc. I would not do college savings first. So skip the 529. I would probably do a 401k at work up to the match. That's gonna take, it's over $20,000 a year, the current limits, and it's gonna take some work. Get up to investing $20,000 a year. That's a lot of money. That's over $1,000 a month in investing. So just pick a dollar amount that fits into your budget. I think when we started, I think we did $200 a month. Oh my gosh, it took us 10 years to get it up to 15% of our income. It took forever. But like every year when we got a raise, we would bump it a little bit. But the time's gonna pass anyway. Like as long as you get started, you'll get there. What do you do to recharge in the middle of having an active lifestyle, family, and a business? I hang out with my friends, I go outside, and I read books. How to stay active on a budget, gym memberships, are they worth it? They can be worth it. When I started at the beginning, I just had a pair of running shoes and an old bike that was probably should have been condemned. Did my own thing, ran around the neighborhood, rode my bike around the neighborhood for like 45 minutes a day. Called it good. You don't need all the fancy stuff. Walking is fine if you want to start with that. Listen to some great podcasts and you're good to go. Raising babies on a budget. I totally did that. Babies don't need what you think. Most of that little baby gear was a waste of money. It really, really is. You don't need all of it. The most expensive parts were like what? Formula, diapers, and wipes. And compared to braces, driver's insurance for teenagers, and sports, diapers are so cheap. I wish I could go back to the cost of diapers. Overall, babies don't cost that much unless you don't have great health insurance. I guess the medical stuff could cost a little bit. I suppose unless you do daycare. Daycare would be a lot if you do daycare. But otherwise, like if you're stay home with the parents, babies don't cost that much. How is it being the only female in the house currently? Really hard, because when I come out and I ask my sons to check the fit, they're no help. This shoe or this shoe? No help. Do you like these pants or these pants? No help. If for no other reason, I would like another female to help me out with the outfit choice of the day. How did you find a good balance between YouTube and home life duties? When I find out, I'll let you know. You know what? Let's just call my husband and ask him what he thinks. How have I found a good balance between YouTube and mom life and like family responsibilities?
Well, you can tell me when you get there.
Yeah, that's what I said. Haven't figured it out yet. I will say I've kind of blacked out. I've kind of blocked out the weekends. I don't film anything. I don't edit anything. I don't answer emails on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, just absolutely not. And then about once a year, I take like 2 to 3 weeks off. What's the worst piece of advice I have ever gotten? Don't go to bed angry. That's the worst. That's the worst piece of advice I have ever gotten. Sometimes you need to cool off and get a good night's sleep before you can talk rationally. Advice on building a good relationship with your spouse. First of all, you gotta pick the right person. That sounds dumb. I know, like if you haven't picked that person yet, it's so important to pick someone who not only is empathetic, but can set aside their own ego and listen. But that's important for both of you. If both of you go into the conversation or situation or whatever it is with the understanding that like, I'm on his side and he's on my side, like he's my cheerleader, and maybe we said the wrong words, maybe we had a bad day, but as long as we understand that like he's got my back and I've got his back and recognize that through all of the flaws, I'm telling you, clear, open communication and being able to accept communication and be self-reflective and self-aware, and they can do the same. Whoa, will that solve a lot of problems? I think everyone should go to therapy. I'm being so serious right now. If for no other reason than to learn to communicate with a partner and how to be self-aware enough to realize that maybe you're the problem sometimes. Sometimes I'm the problem. Sometimes I'm cranky. Sometimes I didn't say things right. My intention was lost in the moment. And especially as a spouse, it's good. You know, he comes home from work and I've been home all day and maybe I had a bad day or he had a bad day. It's okay to be like, hey, you know, I'm sitting at a 5 out of 10 today. Like I've just not been good, you know, and he can take up the slack or vice versa. You know, he's sitting at a 2 out of 10. He's like the worst day ever, raging headache, feel like crap. you know, then I can give him his space and give him grace as he recovers physically. And then I can take the load that day. It really is about working together through all of our ups and downs, and it's hard. It's a process, but at the end, I'm his cheerleader. I'm on his side and he's on my side, and that's a wonderful place to be. Also, my favorite birthday cake is German chocolate cake with extra frosting. If you want to go have a slice of German chocolate cake in the name of my birthday, my 43rd birthday, have at it. There's no calories in it this time. Free calories for Christine's birthday. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.